Welcome to episode 4 of 96 American Spirituals for Ukulele. This progressive course begins with the simplest 2-chord songs and works up through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9-chord songs. You'll learn new chords all along the way, as well as strumming and fingerpicking techniques, all while exploring a rich heritage of moving, inspirational, and even humorous American spirituals. A big thank you to my patrons who help make all my videos possible. You will have access to a free PDF of today's spiritual at patreon.com/uke. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we will be diving into Jacob's Ladder. As always, we'll start with a playthrough and then cover any new chords and techniques. Our beginning note is C, which is the 3rd string open. Or we'll start with a C chord as well. And just as a note, after we finish the verses, we'll go back and do the first verse at the end. Here we go. 1, 2. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. Soldiers of the cross. Every rung goes higher and higher. Every rung goes higher and higher. Every rung goes higher and higher. Soldiers of the cross. Rise, shine, give God the glory. Rise, shine, give God the glory. Rise, shine, give God the glory. Soldiers of the cross. Keep on climbing, we will make it. Keep on climbing, we will make it. Keep on climbing, we will make it. Soldiers of the cross. We are climbing higher and higher. We are climbing higher and higher. We are climbing higher and higher. Soldiers of the cross. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. Soldiers of the cross. All right, there you go. Jacob's Ladder, one of my very favorite spirituals. Just a great, great, great one for the campfire as well. So, what on earth did I do in there? First of all, we just have 2 chords. We could spice this up with more chords if we wanted to, but it works with 2 chords. So we have our C chord, third finger, third fret on the first string. Then we have our G7, first finger, first fret on the second, second finger, second fret on the third, and third finger, second fret on the first. And then of course we just want to keep that third finger sliding back and forth between those two frets for this chord transition. We don't actually want to lift up and reposition. Okay, so C to G7 to C to G7. Once again, practice, practice, practice those chord transitions. Make them absolutely automatic, right? Out of context of the song. If you just try and throw new chords that you're learning right into a song right away, it will distract you from singing the words, and that can be kind of frustrating because you'll find you're going something like this. Jacob's ladder, we are climbing, right? And there'll be a big pause between before every single chord. So make sure that your chord transitions are nice and solid, okay? And all right. As far as right hand techniques go, let me turn myself just a hair here so you can see my right hand a little bit better. So on the first verse, and the last verse, repeated the first verse. I was just doing a thumb strum mostly, and then I was following through with a four-finger roll. Now, I think it's a good thing for me to talk about four-finger roll. The way to practice a four-finger roll, this is the way I learned from watching a video by Aldrin Guerrero about 10 years ago. But you just you practice doing pinky, ring, middle, index, right? And you get those going, and you get practicing with that, so we get used to opening up our hand in the wrong direction. Usually we want to open up our fingers the opposite of that. 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And so just getting our body used to that, right, takes quite a bit of time. When people try and rush this, they end up just going like this and just, all their fingers going across at the same time. But if you get this fan technique out, where you're fanning out, and you practice that quite a bit, then when you put it into a real strum, you get this nice kind of flamenco-y technique that sounds really cool, right? And it can be used really vigorously, but it can also be used very subtly, like I did in this one, right? So we can have, right? And then on to the next chord. Right? Okay, so that's what I used in the first verse. In the second verse, oh my, I'm having trouble remembering now. Let's talk about the finger picking technique I used. So the finger picking technique was this. It was 3, 2, 4, 1. Those are string numbers, and I'm using just my index and my thumb. Now you notice it doesn't just stop with 3, 2, 4, 1. Then I'm going backwards. 4, 2, 3. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3. And that takes us through a cycle. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. Okay, this is, again, another thing that if you want to do fluidly, you just need to practice this so that you aren't actually having to think about it. It's actually more trouble for me to think about what I'm doing on this than just to let my hand do it at this point, because I've done it so many times over and over and over again. But you just want to program that muscle memory, right? And then I did a regular triplet strum on one verse. So this triplet strum, there's many ways to do triplet strums, but this one, you do a down strum, you follow through with a thumb strum, and then you do a regular up strum. So all you're doing is sticking a thumb strum in between your regular down up strumming, right? So there's your regular down up strumming, but then you stick a thumb in the middle of that and you get this triplet strum. And you can do this a lot faster. It just happens that this is a slow song, right? So we are climbing Jacob's ladder. Of course, that would be totally inappropriate for this song, but the technique works for faster songs, right? Okay. And then another technique I did in there was down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And generally when I do that, I just sort of do a touch, kind of a touch, which means I'm not really following through with the first down. A real down goes over all 4 strings, but a touch is just kind of, you're just kind of tapping the the third and fourth strings, right, a little bit, and then you're going on with the second. And I put a roll on the second of that, so it's touch, roll up, roll. Touch, roll up, down, up, touch, roll up, down, up, touch, roll up, down, up, right? And I'm not really following through except for on that second beat, right? So I'm going touch, roll up, and that gives it a nice subtlety. When we follow through on every single one of our strums, we get it's kind of ham-handed, actually. So this is what it would sound like if I followed through on everything there. Right, and that's that for this song. That's completely just over the top, and so pulling back and being a little bit more subtle is kind of a nice effect. All right. Did I miss it? Oh, yes, I did miss another one. Okay, and then another one I did was you can do this 2 ways. You can either go thumb down up, thumb down up, thumb down up, right? Or you can just do down down up, down down up, down down up. Keep on climbing higher. No. Keep on climbing, we will make it. Keep on climbing, we will make it. Keep on climbing, right? And that's one. And then I think the last technique I used was just down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, right? And so to do this song, you don't need all those techniques. It's just fun for me to be able to mix things up and do each verse a little bit differently, especially since the chords are so simple. When you have really simple chords, that's a nice time to do something with your right hand that's a little bit more fun and complex, and sort of switch things up more. When your chords, the more complicated your chords get, and the more you're switching chords faster in what we call a harmonic rhythm. So if the harmonic rhythm and you're switching chords, every beat or every 2 beats, then honestly you don't really need to do a lot as far as strumming, because our attention tends to gravitate towards the chord changes. But if you're just hanging around on the same chord for 4 measures like we are at the beginning of this one, just doing some fun things with the strumming or the finger picking can make things kind of interesting, even though nothing's really happening. There's lots of other things you could do on this one. We could do some kind of 3-string technique. We are climbing Jacob's ladder, or we could do that 12-3 one. We are climbing Jacob's ladder, right? I mean, there's just so many things you could do. You just want to play around and pick the ones that you want to do, and then make sure that they're really practiced up so that they're kind of automatic. Now, a lot of these you can do without worrying about what chords you're playing, right? So I'm just putting my hand over the strings, and then I'm just practicing, right? Right? And that's a great way to make sure that your right hand technique is really solid, is to practice it without chords and then worry about putting the chords together. Um, I always talk to my live students about the three streams of information, right? So we've got our lyrics and our melody, which make up stream number one. And that's our first priority, to make sure that that's super solid and that we know that really well. And then our second priority is the chords, and making sure our chords are absolutely flawless in our transitions. And then the third stream of information is what our right hand is doing, um, and making sure that our strumming is super tight, right? You can get by on the first two, and people will feel that you're competent when you perform. It's the third one that everybody, that provides sort of the wow factor, right? Is that, when you throw in some fun things on the strumming, and I always say that's the icing on the cake. But icing by itself doesn't have the substance we need for it to be really satisfying. Now, some people like to eat icing all by itself, like me, um, but generally, that's not such a great thing. So, anyway, there you go. There's Jacob's Ladder. Once again, please visit me at patreon.com/uke. Support future videos, and get a PDF in the process of this, and the PDFs for all the other videos that I'm making. I'm going to be making some other courses as well, and so stay tuned for that. And I hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful spiritual. It is absolutely one of my favorites. It's so gorgeous, and you can do so much with it. Anyway, learn up.